I did a film with an absolute idiot of a co-star, and this human being was being so insecure and angry because this person couldn't get the scenes out. And I think I was so vulnerable and uncomfortable.
Words for Ryan, seeing as the next time we talk to him, he will be seeing that.
I have nothing to say to him.
Ryan Reynolds has managed to build a Hollywood reputation that's equal parts charming, funny, and seemingly flawless. Fans adore him, brands chase him, and studios rely on him as a box office guarantee. But something strange has been happening lately, and it's causing people to look at Ryan through a completely different lens. A growing number of actors, directors, and industry insiders have spoken out or hinted that Ryan may not be the good-natured person audiences imagine. If you ask some of these celebrities, Ryan's polished jokes and goofy personality aren't a reflection of kindness. They are the armor of someone deeply insecure, controlling, and shockingly rude behind the scenes.
Me and Deena encountered a rude celebrity once, and we don't want to say who it is.
This shift isn't fan speculation. The tone around Ryan changed fast when the cast of Jersey Shore was asked to name the rudest celebrity they ever met. Sammi and Deena tried to avoid dropping a name, but eventually Deena slipped and confirmed that the person they were referring to was Ryan Reynolds. Sammi tried to soften it by saying Ryan might have had a bad day. But here's the thing. This wasn't a rumor from an anonymous blog. This was a direct allegation aired live on television about one of the most popular actors in the world. At first, people assumed it was harmless. Maybe Ryan didn't feel like engaging at an event. Maybe he was distracted. But other stories quickly resurfaced, and suddenly the idea of Ryan just having a bad day didn't feel believable anymore. More celebrities came forward with experiences that pointed to a pattern. Ryan wasn't just rude sometimes. He allegedly used his status and power to belittle, control, and isolate co-stars who refused to obey his rules. Before we continue, what do you think is really going on here? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and tap the hype button so more people see this video before it disappears.
I did a film with an absolute idiot of a co-star, and this human being was being so insecure and angry because this person couldn't get the scenes out. And I think I was so vulnerable and uncomfortable that I got screamed at. But because this person was number one on a call sheet, there was no safety net for me. So no one had my back.
Rebecca Ferguson detonated the biggest bombshell. She didn't mention Ryan by name, but her story was disturbing enough that fans spent months connecting the dots, and every clue pointed straight at him. Rebecca said she worked with a co-star who screamed at her, publicly humiliated her, and terrified her because this person was number one on the call sheet and everyone on set treated them like royalty. She called this unnamed actor an absolute idiot. And she added that the studio refused to protect her because he was too important to the production.
The next day I walked on and I said, "You get off my set." This is the first time I've ever spoken. I remember being so scared.
Yes.
And I looked at this person and I said, "You can F off. I'm going to work towards a tennis ball. I never want to see you again." And I said, "But the person can turn around and I can act to the back head."
Rebecca explained that she eventually snapped and stood up for herself, telling the actor to get off her set. That may sound heroic now, but at the time she was terrified. She said her colleagues quietly warned her afterward, almost like she had violated a Hollywood rule. They told her she didn't understand what she had done. That reaction only fueled speculation that the anonymous co-star wasn't just powerful, they were protected. Fans immediately began rewinding her filmography and found something suspicious. One particular movie fit her description perfectly: the sci-fi thriller Life. Her co-stars were Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds. The scenes were filmed in isolated environments. The characters interacted closely, and Ryan was indeed number one on the call sheet. If Rebecca needed to act toward a tennis ball instead of a co-star's face, that suggested CGI scenes, exactly the kind used in Life. Suddenly, Ryan wasn't just a lovable prankster. He became the prime suspect in a story of intimidation and emotional aggression.
You have an ongoing feud with Ryan.
Who?
You know that guy. What's it gonna take for him to actually be BFFs with you?
Well, I mean, in truth, there was a time in which we were.
Words for Ryan, seeing as the next time we talk to him,
I have
he will
nothing
be
to
seeing
say-
that.
I have nothing to say to him.
Rebecca wasn't the only person from that film whose remarks raised eyebrows. Jake Gyllenhaal, once friendly with Ryan, was asked about their relationship and shut the topic down instantly. His facial expression said more than his words. He didn't crack a smile, didn't offer a polite response, and didn't even fake amusement. He simply said he had nothing to say to Ryan. That silence was louder than any accusation. The pattern gets darker. Morena Baccarin began the Deadpool franchise as a central character. Fans expected her to play a major role in future installments. Instead, she was mysteriously sidelined from Deadpool promotions and barely acknowledged in the franchise's next phase. At the premiere, Morena was photographed alone, isolated from the main cast. Reports soon circulated that this wasn't a coincidence. It was allegedly Ryan's decision. Morena's disagreement with Ryan may have involved script choices or jokes. Whatever the reason, Ryan allegedly used his influence to push her to the margins, sending a chilling message to anyone who questioned his authority. Morena started the franchise as a major presence and ended up a missing piece, while everyone else crowded around Ryan for photos like satellites orbiting a star.
Really weird moment on Deadpool where he said, let's do one more take. And everyone was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And then as the character, he was like horrifically mean to me, but to me.
Cathartic.
As if I'm Weasel.
Then came TJ Miller, another Deadpool actor who walked away from the project despite being offered double his previous salary. TJ said working with Ryan became unbearable. Ryan allegedly attacked him in character, but not in a playful, professional way. According to TJ, Ryan mocked him as if TJ wasn't important, telling him he was only there to deliver small jokes and then leave so the real movie could continue. TJ said this wasn't humor. It was humiliation disguised as comedy.
So he was like, what's great about you, Weasel? You're not the star, but you just, you do just enough exposition that it's funny, and then we can leave and get back to the real movie.
TJ made it very clear. He believes Ryan wasn't joking. He was using sarcasm as a weapon to reinforce hierarchy. TJ wasn't the lead, and Ryan wanted him to feel it. The experience left such a scar that TJ vowed never to work with Ryan again. Not for money, not for fame, and not even for creative freedom. He genuinely believes Ryan does not want anyone else shining in his spotlight. Deadpool's original director, Tim Miller, backed up this sentiment in his own way. Tim walked away from Deadpool because, in his words, Ryan wanted full control of the franchise. Tim said Ryan had become so dominant over creative decisions that directing became impossible. Tim didn't call Ryan cruel or abusive, but he made one thing unmistakably clear. Ryan Reynolds had turned Deadpool from a collaborative project into his personal empire. That theme, control, keeps popping up in stories about Ryan, and it doesn't stop at his workplace. Scarlett Johansson, Ryan's ex-wife, has described her past relationship with an unnamed partner whose behavior was riddled with jealousy and insecurity. The timeline fits perfectly with her marriage to Ryan. Scarlett said passive-aggressive jealousy was one of the most unattractive traits in a partner. She added that controlling behavior was unbearable, and nobody enjoyed being with someone who constantly monitored them out of insecurity. Scarlett's remarks weren't random. During her marriage to Ryan, her career skyrocketed while his career plateaued. She landed huge Marvel roles, became a global icon, and suddenly rumors began circulating that Ryan resented her success. Scarlett said, relationships are difficult when both partners are actors because careers don't always grow at the same rate. She didn't accuse Ryan of sabotage, but she strongly hinted that her success wasn't received with joy and support. Scarlett wasn't alone. Before her, Ryan was engaged to singer Alanis Morissette. Their breakup inspired her emotionally raw album, Flavors of Entanglement, where she wrote lyrics about insecurity and devastation. Many people believe she was referring to Ryan. Alanis never publicly attacked him, but her art said more than any interview could. When two different ex-partners describe someone using the same word, insecure, that stops sounding like coincidence. It begins sounding like character. And when you examine Ryan's career through that lens, the puzzle pieces start to connect. Ryan has crafted an image of a lovable goofball who aims harmless jokes at everyone. But what happens when the jokes are weapons? What happens when the humor is less about being funny and more about being dominant? Hollywood insiders now say Ryan masks his insecurities by controlling projects, manipulating co-stars, and isolating those who refuse to fall in line. For years, fans have interpreted this as comedic timing. But the people who work with him allegedly see it as something else entirely. This explains why directors with strong creative identities don't want to work with him. Iconic filmmaker Quentin Tarantino dismissed Ryan's film impact altogether. Quentin said he's never seen Ryan's Netflix movies and implied that despite being paid tens of millions of dollars, Ryan delivers films that leave no cultural footprint. That wasn't just shade, it was a direct statement. Ryan may be rich, but that doesn't mean he's respected. Chris Columbus, the original director of Home Alone, went even further. When he heard Ryan was planning a reboot centered around a stoner who gets left behind during the holidays, Chris called the idea an insult. He believed it was a cheap attempt to turn a family classic into a joke, and he urged Ryan to leave the original alone. In Hollywood, that's as close to telling someone they don't deserve your legacy as it gets. Gerard Butler joined this chorus when a reporter compared his film Gamer to Ryan's Free Guy. Gerard snapped back by saying he'd never seen Ryan's movies. He wasn't shy. He didn't sugarcoat it. That short comment carried a lot of weight. When multiple industry professionals have no interest in watching your films, something deeper is going on. Hollywood is a place where people pretend to be friends, support every project, and speak kindly even when they don't mean it. For multiple major figures to speak publicly against Ryan, something significant must be happening behind the curtain. The cracks in Ryan's public image are widening. Fans who once saw him as the fun, lighthearted guy are now questioning whether that persona is a mask built to hide something far less flattering. Nobody is saying Ryan Reynolds is evil, but a growing number of people are asking whether he has spent years hiding behind jokes while mistreating the people around him. The pattern is consistent. Co-stars describe insecurity. Directors describe control. Ex-partners describe jealousy. And colleagues describe disrespect, masked as humor. That's not one incident. That's a behavioral blueprint. The most shocking part is that Ryan has never addressed these allegations directly. He jokes about everything. He deflects with humor. But silence isn't harmless anymore. Not when so many voices are speaking up at once. Hollywood protects its stars, especially bankable ones. That means if these stories are making it to the surface, what hasn't been shared could be far worse. The industry doesn't turn on someone unless it feels safe to do so. We might be watching the beginning of something bigger. Ryan's brand is built on being relatable, but relatability breaks when people begin to see insecurity, ego, and secrecy instead of kindness. The question now isn't whether these allegations are true. The question is how long Hollywood will continue pretending there isn't a problem. Ryan is undeniably talented, but every story told about him suggests he's more interested in control than collaboration. When that many people from different eras of your life, co-stars, directors, partners, use similar language to describe you, the world notices. Fans don't need proof to form opinions. They need patterns. And Ryan Reynolds has patterns. If the rumors continue growing and more celebrities decide to speak up, the Ryan Reynolds Hollywood sold us may no longer exist. Once the persona cracks, it rarely repairs. What do you think? Is Ryan Reynolds being misunderstood? Or have we finally reached the moment where the truth about his personality is catching up with his reputation? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit the like button, hype this video so more people see it, and make sure you subscribe for future updates. You won't want to miss what comes next.